Over the past several months, the integrity of Dream's Minecraft speedruns has been constantly hanging under a giant question mark. The saga was lengthy and complicated, with many people having confronted Dream and equally as many people supporting him throughout the scandal. A Harvard astrophysicist was brought into the matter, quasi-scientific papers have been written about it on both sides, and after months of delays and public confusion, Dream eventually came out with an apology, admitting that he did in fact cheat in establishing his speedrunning record. Sort of. What are the implications of this? How has this affected Dream's credibility? And what does all of this reveal about the speedrun community? We're gonna look into all of this in just a second, but first I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Monster Legends. Monster Legends is a free-to-play game on Android and iOS that allows you to collect monsters, select different sets of skills, and choose your strategy in battles. You start out by building a world for your monsters to live in, fill it with habitats like fire habitat, earth habitat, all the way up to more advanced ones like magic or mythic habitats. Then you breed monsters of different elements and rarities and create a whole bunch of cool new species that you can play with. You can fight other people in real time in PvP mode. You can even network with other players and fight in team wars to earn exclusive monsters. There are hundreds of different monsters to collect, and every week there's new events to discover and new adventures to play. You know how there used to be those Tamagotchi games where you had to feed your pet and play with it and keep it alive? Well, Monster Legends just takes that concept to a whole new level. There's so much that you can do in the game that it's impossible for you to get bored. And guess what? If you download the game through the link in the description, you get a special reward worth $30 for a limited time only. If you download it by July the 3rd, you get 50,000 food, an epic monster, Kaori, 300,000 gold, and 10 gems. But you're gonna have to use the custom link in the description because otherwise they're not gonna know that you came from this channel. Thanks to Monster Legends for sponsoring us. Now let's get back into the video. Now, before we dive into what happened with Dream, we have to understand why speedruns are so important to such a large group of people on the internet. Since the dawn of humanity, people have been drawn to competition, going back way further than one might expect. Cave paintings reveal humans sprinting and wrestling dating as far back as 15,000 years ago. Anthropologist Michelle Scalise Sugiyama conducted studies on the evolution of sports within early human settlements. It is believed that once humanity made the shift from hunter-gathering to farming, the ones that would have previously been hunters now no longer had a setting in which to utilize their superior strength. So these guys were like,
It looks like running after a buffalo to feed my family is no longer a relevant occupation, but I still feel like running. Wanna run up to that tree over there to see who runs the fastest?
And that's pretty much how sports were invented. Later on, the ancient Olympic Games started in Greece, and competition became a systematic celebration that was cheered and eagerly expected every 4 years. Although there were no such thing as gold medals 3,000 years ago, Olympic champions were praised and worshipped in their communities back home. So you see, the desire to be recognized for top achievements and the admiration towards best performers have been interwoven all across the evolution of humankind. It was only natural once video games took over the world that people would take this competitive spirit and bring it over to the virtual world. It wasn't long before gamers started finding ways to complete a game as fast as possible, whether that was Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, Dark Souls, or most popularly today, Minecraft. The speedrunning community is a group of very passionate and very creative people who somehow manage to always one-up each other, earning the respect of millions of people watching in the process. Watching someone do a speedrun can keep you on the edge of your seat because it takes skill, it takes focus, and as soon as someone beats the world record for the fastest speedrun, it only sets the bar higher for the next underdog to attempt jumping over it. Speedrunning is no joke. So what happens when the next speedrun record gets disputed as fraud? Now, we've talked about Dream's remarkable ascendance on YouTube before. If you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to click up here to watch it for better context. While tapping into many different branches of Minecraft content, one of his avenues was to take a stab at speedrunning. Now, there are many ways to speedrun a game. There's glitches you can take advantage of in order to bypass certain steps in a game. In Minecraft, you can choose the specific version of the world you're playing in, aka the seed, which would give you valuable prior knowledge to the location of certain items, and based on all of these choices, there is a a large variety of speedrun categories, Dream chose to do one of the most difficult ones, any percent random seed glitchless. This means that all he has working in his favor before starting up the game is his experience and his skill. But after achieving spectacular results and ending up with the 5th fastest game completion in the category on speedrun.com, the website moderators started discussing whether Dream's achievement was legitimate. You see, in order to beat Minecraft, you need ender pearls, which are very difficult to come by. In his speedrun, Dream was getting them at a suspiciously fast rate. When confronted with this accusation, Dream initially came out with a document basically saying that he doesn't need to cheat in a speedrun because he gets way more views on content that isn't speedrun related. This prompted a 2-month investigation by the Minecraft speedrunning team, who in December of 2020 published their report in the form of a 29-page document full of in-depth analysis and mathematical calculations. What they found was that Dream's so-called luck had a chance of occurring of 1 in 7.5 trillion. That's over 500,000 times less likely than winning the lottery. But Dream didn't give up on his cause. He hired a Harvard graduate who's a practicing astrophysicist and is an expert in statistics and astrostatistics. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how astrostatistics differ from regular statistics, but putting the prefix astro next to anything makes it that much more intense. The astrophysicist's counter arguments to the speedrun mods were: 1. Studying probabilities is very hard, so it's always susceptible to error. 2. Extremely low probability events happen all the time. And 3. Based on his calculations, the odds of Dream actually cheating were just 0.00013% of the number put forth by the mods. But here's the thing, even such a small percentage of the 7.5 trillion figure is still 1 in 10 million, which did not at all dispel the cheating allegations. Furthermore, the document was picked apart by math enthusiasts on Reddit and multiple inaccuracies were revealed, so it all became a he said she said situation that dragged on for months, until one fateful morning when Dream finally spoke out again, this time in a much more different manner. I feel like this is something important to talk about. I've been very withheld for a while about it all, and just decided it'll probably be best to just let it all out so I can feel relaxed a little more, I guess. I'm writing this in my bath at 4 AM on my phone, so forgive any mistakes or confusing bits. That's gotta be the weirdest way to start an apology. Just put your phone down, finish your bath, go rest your brain, and start writing in the morning when you're thinking more clearly. But apart from the immature tone and self-victimization, what Dream was going through was perfectly understandable. He basically says that when faced with the threat of losing everything he's built over this drama, he got so scared that he was unable to consider whether he had really cheated or not. He decided he didn't and simply went ahead doing everything in his power to defend himself. Meanwhile, the entire time he had been using a disallowed modification that he had installed for the casual games where he was just making content for YouTube, which obviously gave him a huge advantage. I grew more and more frustrated, convinced that I was being targeted due to the fact that I was a YouTuber. I cared more about defending myself than about figuring out what was actually going on, and I shot myself in the foot by doing it. As a result, all of Dream's speedrun records have recently been stripped down from the Hall of Fame, even the ones where he claims he didn't have the modification installed. Now, I don't know whether that's fair or not, but I guess the whole situation goes to show what happens when you react out of fear and not based on rational thought. The speedrun moderators may well have had a negative bias against Dream for being as successful as he is, and Dream himself didn't wield his authority well at all. One could argue that he even used his influence and his impressionable fans as a weapon during the conflict. So when you draw the line, both sides reacted poorly. It is my opinion that Dream has a lot to learn about his position of power and his responsibility, and it is equally important for the speedrun community to not simply form an opinion against someone or disqualify them just for having a large platform. I also think it's important to note that Dream never set out to break speedrun world records. He's a Minecraft entertainer, not a speedrunner. So while the entire episode does affect the way he's being perceived outside of his fanbase, I don't see why it should define him as a content creator for the rest of his career. But what do you guys think? Who is, in your opinion, more at fault here? Is it Dream or was it the speedrun mods? Let me know down in the comments below. Once again, thank you to Monster Legends for sponsoring this video. Remember to click the link in the description below to download the game. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.